It's not even controversial anymore.
People know in Florida their freedoms are going to be respected.
Miranda, sup?
What's up? I was waiting to see what language you decided to say hello to me. I didn't realize it was going to be American.
I'm running out of unique ways to say hi to you without like culturally appropriating. And so I got to come up with a list. Nicole, get on that. I need a list like 100 things long of how to greet Miranda uniquely. So Miranda, right before we brought you on, we talked about this Politico article. Apparently, if you're fit, you're right wing.
Yes.
And I mean, in his defense, your mayor, Francis Suarez, this has always been his thing before he ran for president, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's always been his thing. He always had these like mayor fit challenges that he'd put out on Instagram that just kind of show him like working out and doing a challenge for people in the city who want to meet that. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a healthy, fit political leader. Like there's nothing better to like lead by example, and Americans should want to be healthy too. I don't really know why this makes you a right wing nut job.
It's just so strange because it's just the media, like at its worst, looking for reasons to vilify Republicans. It's like you can't focus on policy or whatever it is. So you're like, oh, they exercise. Yeah, they're good at athletics. And the other thing about Francis Suarez is he's decidedly moderate. So to try to like push him to the right because he's fit. But I also think that there is probably a reason why on the campaign trail some of these candidates are trying to show their physical prowess, because you have Joe Biden, who, you know, has been struggling in that regard. And so they might be trying to set up a dichotomy between the current president and sort of someone younger, because both of the gentlemen referenced in the Politico article are fairly young. But speaking of DeSantis, he is, if there are going to be GOP debates, sounds like he'll be partaking. Not DeSantis. Did I say DeSantis? Suarez.
Yes. Yeah, he has met one of the criteria that it takes to get on a national stage and debate some of his possible contenders moving into the election, which I think is so exciting for him, because I'm a big fan of him, and I really want to see him on a national stage and get more people to like see him, get in front of them, and like, you know, hopefully he's prepared as you can be. I know that you have to have an obscene amount of knowledge stored in your brain to even compete in a debate in any sort of real way. But it'll be nice for him to get out there and everybody else to kind of get an idea of who he is as a politician and a person.
Yeah, he is one of the lesser known candidates, but he just oozes charisma. I mean, he's not bad looking either. That helps him. I don't mean to be sexist or anything, but, you know, I've interviewed him a couple times. He's very sharp on the issues. So for someone who is really capable but doesn't have a lot of name recognition, making the debate stage is great. Although everyone can make the debate stage these days, because our governor, Jay Inslee, even made the debate stage, and he was hardly even polling at anything. So not a huge accomplishment in some realms. All right, Governor Ron DeSantis is under criticism, and I am going to join that criticism in this regard, but we'll talk about the story first. He has removed an Orlando area district attorney. It's the second time he's done this to an elected prosecutor. Why has he removed her from her position?
He believes that she's not being tough enough on criminals and in prosecuting those criminals within her district. And this is kind of coming on the heels of two officers being shot during a traffic stop. And one of the suspects actually was out on bail at the time. And, you know, I think that it's good to keep checks and keep a heavy thumb on prosecutors and make sure that they are upholding the law and following. But I also think that comes with working with them and what they promised the people who elected them. There's a time to be soft on crime, and then there's a time to be tough on crime. And I think that they could easily just have a discussion about that without removing her from office and then just appointing the guy that ran against her.
Well, and look, you know, my whole thing is I wouldn't like it if a Democratic governor did it either. I think that if you are elected by the people, then the people should be the ones to remove you, be it through some sort of effort before an election year or during an election year. So I don't like this. I think it's overreach. And there is something called prosecutorial discretion. I don't like the discretion that this prosecutor and a lot of other soft on crime prosecutors have used, but she was elected by the people she serves. And I'll just read this quick from a CNN article, because Florida works a little differently than our state. It says the Florida Constitution allows a governor to remove an elected official for, quote, malfeasance, misfeasance, neglect of duty, habitual drunkenness, incompetence or permanent inability to perform official duties. No previous Florida executive has interpreted that power as broadly as DeSantis. The state Senate can reinstate Worrell, but the chamber is controlled by Republicans closely aligned with DeSantis and have rarely stood in his way. So yeah, it sounds like, but she said that she's going to try to get her job back, like try to run again.
Yeah, she's going to try to get a legal team together and fight it as of, right now, currently. And then if she can't make that happen, she's going to run for reelection and try to get reelected. And if the people really were, stood behind her and her politics and her policies and the way she wanted to handle criminals in that area, then they'll reelect her and it'll prove DeSantis wrong. But either way, there's, it's a weird place to be when you have somebody who is going completely in a different direction than the governor and him wanting to correct course on everybody. But if people elect you, then people elect you. And that's just the way it has to be. That's what democracy is all about.
Yeah. And you have to be morally consistent on it. We have a drunk on power governor in our state. We suffered with one throughout the entirety of the pandemic. And so I don't necessarily think that DeSantis doing the same thing should be celebrated by Republicans because it's a slippery slope. So look at us being morally consistent. Wow. We're just better than everyone else. We're so wonderful. And we just, do exactly what everyone else should do. We're great.
Follow us.
Just joking. That's how it comes across sometimes. All right, Miranda, appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a good weekend.
It's not even controversial anymore.
People know in Florida their freedoms are going to be respected.